From Illinois Public Media News, this is 217 Today. I'm Farrah Anderson. It's Friday, April 5th. Coming up, we'll learn more about the life and impact of Dr. William Patterson. That story in just a few minutes. But first, these headlines. The Illinois Environmental Protection Agency is investigating a large fish kill near the McLean-Livingston County line that could be linked to a nearby hazardous material spill. Dead fish were found in a 20-mile stretch of Rooks Creek, starting near Weston. That's about 30 miles northeast of Bloomington Normal. Judy Ellinger runs the nearby Raccoon Ridge Wildlife Rescue. Rooks Creek passes through her property.
All the woodland creatures here drink out of that creek. We have deer, we have raccoons, possums, skunks, you name it, they're out here. They all drink from that creek. So that's what was my concern.
The agriculture supplier BCS on Monday self-reported a spill of about 20,000 gallons of liquid nitrogen at its facility near Weston. Nitrogen is typically used for fertilizer in agriculture. BCS told state officials that a containment system failed. Hundreds of officers from across the region joined DeKalb community members in honoring Sheriff's Deputy Christina Mussel during services yesterday at Northern Illinois University's Convocation Center. Mussel was killed last week when a truck struck her service vehicle, which was parked along a highway south of DeKalb. DeKalb County Sheriff Andy Sullivan told the crowd at the services that he knows there is nothing he can say that can express the community's great sense of loss.
But no, Deputy Christina Mussel, you are a true hero. You will not be forgotten, and your memory will live on through your family and your brothers and sisters in blue.
A 44-year-old DeKalb man has been arrested and charged with driving under the influence and reckless homicide for the crash that killed Deputy Mussel. Quaker Oats stopped operations at its plant in Danville Wednesday, laying off some 510 workers. IPM's Jim Meadows reports.
The Chicago-based company opened the plant in 1969 and had been using it to make granola bars. In a statement, Quaker Oats said that after a granola bar recall in December, they decided it was best to consolidate manufacturing in a newer facility. Danville Area Community College President Stephen Nacco says the college is ready to help workers at Quaker find new jobs.
This one surprised the whole community. And it's a tough loss, but there are people here who are skilled workers, and by gum, we're going to get them jobs.
NACO signed on to a statement with other local leaders pledging to help the laid-off workers with job placement and retraining. According to them, Quaker plans to continue paying workers through June 8th. I'm Jim Meadows, IPM News.
Still to come, we'll learn more about the life and impact of Dr. William Patterson. That story is coming up next on 217 Today.
Next time on the 21st show, we're days away from the last solar eclipse to cross Illinois until 2099. We'll hear from reporters about preparations across Illinois and hear if the weather will cooperate. Plus, how rape crisis centers in Illinois are struggling after a drop in federal funding. That's next time on the 21st show.
You're listening to 217 Today. I'm Farrah Anderson. People across central Illinois are talking about the impact of Dr. William Patterson, also known as Dr. P. As we reported earlier this week, the 58-year-old educator passed away unexpectedly this week. IPM's Reginald Hardwick reports Patterson's name and deeds were synonymous with the words community service.
William Patterson grew up in the racially segregated north end of Urbana. He proudly claimed he was from the ghetto because he saw talent all around him. One of the cultural movements from the ghettos of New York City found him in central Illinois, as he recounted in a 2017 TED Talk at the U of I.
1979. I remember when hip-hop came to Champaign and actually was in the halls of Urbana Junior High School, and this big kid named Kane Beaumont, this white kid, he had this boombox radio, right? And he comes bumping down the halls and he got Rapper's Delight on the box.
I said hip hop The hip me to the hip hop, you don't stop the rockin' to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now,
I was stunned not only because the song was on fire, number one, right? Song was hot, right? But the boombox, the technology was banging too, right? I said, I gotta do that. I have to do that.
As a child, Patterson and his friends would run after school to local STEM programs.
We're in 6th and 7th grade. We run up after school, and we want to get to the Play-Doh terminals because there's a math program there. Because of National Science Foundation being part of that, they put that technology in my community, and it made a difference.
But in the 1980s, federal funding for the programs was cut.
I was used to having programs like the Douglas Center Drum Corps happening in my community. I was used to having movies in my park and dreaming about being in the drum corps, watching the movie, playing softball, doing all these things where I saw folks in my community rising beyond our marginalized spaces.
Living in an under-resourced neighborhood left him angry and without direction.
So I started getting equipment any way that I could, but the way I was doing it was the wrong way. So 2 years after I graduated from high school, I went to penitentiary. Went to penitentiary for 2 years, trying to figure out what my ghetto genius meant.
Childhood friend Tracy Parsons says Patterson began turning his life around while behind bars.
And he vowed, being in the jail cell, that he was going to be a difference maker.
After marrying his high school sweetheart, Lori Gold, Patterson earned degree after degree while raising a growing family. Eventually, a PhD in education policy studies from the University of Illinois. But Parsons said he didn't stop there.
He's the most creative person I know and I've ever met. And so when you talk about work today around STEM and STEAM, AI, artificial intelligence, I mean, he's in the forefront of all of that work and making sure that our community is connected to that work and the importance of the work, and trying to hold the university accountable for making sure that these services, supports, programs are in the community.
Through the years, Patterson held leadership positions with the Bruce Nesbitt African American Culture Center, the Urban League, and at the Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club in Champaign, always finding a way to merge his love of technology, media, and community service.
I was at the Housing Authority, he was at the Urban League, so our paths crossed because of a lot of programs.
Sonia Hawley is the Director of Human Resources for Student Affairs Administration at the U of I. More than 20 years ago, she worked with Patterson to give a voice to young Black women on local radio.
Welcome back. This is All Girls Radio. Is this Jazzy holding it down?
We started working together on a show called All Girls Radio, which was geared towards middle school, primarily middle school girls. We had a few high school girls, but teens and preteens. And so we were teaching the girls how to do a radio show, how to produce a radio show, how to write, how to do research.
In All Girls Radio, we always bring technology into our show, into the topics of our show. Will you have any technology into your workshops?
Yeah, there's a web design workshop, which is a
Several years ago, Patterson brought a brightly colored, rehabilitated school bus to neighborhoods to teach children about careers in STEM, using drones, race cars, and hip-hop. In December of 2021, he explained how the idea was born at an Illinois Public Media News Brews and Beats event.
Hip Hop Express exists because a vehicle showed up in my neighborhood when I was a kid in Douglas Park by the name of Disco Rat that had a vehicle. And he played in the park and taught us how to DJ. And so we knew that there was a living example of that.
Reverend Willie Comer Jr. witnessed how bringing science to a neighborhood made a difference.
You can hope all day, but if you don't have access to hope, then you just had hope deferred. Yes. See, for me, hope is last week when I had 30 kids from Edison outside racing RC cars, $200-300 RC cars racing, and you saw those kids when they won, like they won the championship, the state championship in basketball.
In 2020, Mikhail Smoot was working on remote control cars in a store when he met Dr. Patterson. At the time, he was unsure of what he wanted to do with his life. Smoot now lives in Arizona, working as a cement truck operator, setting foundations for new buildings, using remote controls. He told my colleague David Pierce that Dr. Patterson ultimately helped him find his purpose.
I mean, I was helping people, beforehand, but he made me actually want to help the younger generation.
He encouraged all of us to stay encouraged about our community and making a difference and being in the forefront of change.
Parsons says Patterson wanted children who grew up in the neighborhoods like he did to know their value.
As he got his doctorate, he then became Dr. P. So he often talked about Dr. Dre and how he had come up and how he had changed the world so that young folks could know that it could be done.
Dr. William Patterson was 58 years old. Reginald Hardwick, IPM News.
And finally, in your forecast, meteorologist Andrew Pritchard says it'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 50 degrees. That's it for today. 217 Today is produced by Stephanie Mosqueda. Reporting today contributed by Ryan Denham, Jim Meadows, and Reginald Hardwick. Music by the Kilbourne Alley Blues Band. Reginald Hardwick is our news director. I'm Farrah Anderson. 217 Today is a production of Illinois Public Media. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.